Welcome back to the Winner's Circle University. I am your host, SpawnFX, and today we're going to be talking about freeing yourself from limiting beliefs. Okay, because it's a lot of people that's trapped out here, but the reason why they're trapped is because of their belief system, right? And I know that for a fact because I used to have a fucked up belief system. Trust me, I had a fucked up belief system. But once I realized that it wasn't the devil and it wasn't God's fault, it was strictly just my fault and my belief system, why I was where I was, doing what I was doing, feeling the way I was feeling, living the way I was living. So once I changed my belief system, that's when everything else started to change, right? Because once you think it, you believe it, you live to achieve it, right? And I talked about this as in one of my previous videos. I think it's called thoughts, because first you have a thought, then you have an imagination, then you have a stronghold, right? Because once you keep thinking about it, eventually you're going to start imagining it. And then after you start imagining it, English, after you start imagining, whatever, after you start imagining, it eventually becomes real. So whatever you think about, you bring about. We all know that. So you think you believe it, you live to achieve it, right? So, I got me a little bit of notes right here so I can stay on point. All right. So one thing I want you guys to really think about is that freedom isn't about where you live. It isn't about where you live. It isn't about how much money you have. It isn't about none of that stuff. Even though they do play a part, yes. But to be really free, you have to free your mind. Because you can be locked up in jail, but your mind can still be free. So are you really locked up? No. You know what I mean? So freedom isn't about where you live. It's about the way you think. And that's the reason why I wrote a book called Change Your Mind, Change Your Life in that order. I will leave a link in the description below so you guys can go check out that book and actually read it because it's a well written book. It talks about the reason why you think the way you think, and it stems from generational traumas. It stems from you picking up stuff when you was growing up, and then you just stuck with it because you thought it was true. Whether or not the fact that it is true or not, is just it forms a belief system. So you basically stuck with it your whole life, and now it becomes your identity. For instance, the spiritual community, right? Back in the day when the spiritual community just started, a lot of people based their identity. Back in the day when the spiritual community just started, a lot of people based their identities around being spiritual. So when someone would come up to them and be like, "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience," which we are, but who the fuck are you? You know, a dog is a dog because it's fucking a dog. A woman is a woman because she's a woman. A man is a man because she's a man. Who are you? I didn't ask you what your belief is. You know what I mean? So yeah. So you don't want to really make your identity one of your beliefs because once you do that, it's going to be hard to break. Which is why, again, we're going to go back to this: thoughts, imagination, stronghold, because it's so imperative that whatever you think about, you imagine, and then it eventually becomes a stronghold. And once it becomes a stronghold, it's hard to break. Imagine your thoughts like cements, right? Like cement, literally cement. And every time when you think about something, you're basically molding the cement. And then you imagine it, you form it out. And then the stronghold is you basically placing it somewhere and now it can't be broken, right? So you don't want that to happen. So let's understand how limiting beliefs are formed, right? Limiting beliefs are formed basically from generational trauma. It is it is formed from your childhood trauma, and it's also Jesus Christ, can I fucking speak? And it's also stemmed from failure and also success, right? So generational trauma. Generational trauma is generational. Whoa, it's trauma that's been in the generation for generations, right? One of mine's is that a generational trauma is everyone is scared of police. I'm not. I don't give a fuck about them niggas. Them niggas know who I am. They can't put it on me. But it's not what I'm talking about. Everybody in my family is scared of police because, obviously, when you have certain family members and they do certain things, eventually the police has to be a part of it. So basically, police was a part of it. And where I grew up in Jamaica, police brutality was a thing back in the day. Not that my family ever got brutalized by police, but I'm just simply saying we all know that was a thing. It's still happening to this day. But they were just scared of police because of my uncles and stuff and other family members that was doing stuff out there. So my family, specifically my family that I grew up in, was always bombarded by police. I'm talking about quick story time. I remember one time, my uncle supposedly had did something. He had hid the gun in the house. Um, I think he was either already dead. No, he wasn't dead at that time. Either he was already dead or he was out of town somewhere. I don't fucking know. But police came to our house, kicked the fucking gate down, kicked the doors down, run into the fucking house, sticked us up at gunpoint. I'm talking about police did that shit. Stick us up at gunpoint. My cousin was in the backyard. She was scared, so she ran off, and they were literally about to shoot her until my mom screamed out and was like, "Stop! She's a kid. Don't shoot her." Yada yada yada. And you know what I'm saying? Ever since then, that's when I realized that everybody in my family hated police. So that's when I realized that trauma. So it stems from all of those things, man. Generational trauma, childhood trauma, and my cousin actually got traumatized from that day. She don't fuck with police. She don't like to be around them. She don't like to talk to them. And I'm not saying all police are bad, but that one experience that she had just fucked it up for every other police. So that's where it comes from. Traumas, childhood traumas, generational curses. It also stems from failures and stuff, right? Because if someone fails so much, eventually they're gonna start to believe that, hey, I'm just not fucking good enough. I'm just fucking trash at this. I need to give it up. I need to go do something else. Why? Because they haven't pushed through the failure barrier as of yet, right? Because me, I failed a lot of things, a lot of things. I'm still failing to this day. But guess what? I don't take L's. All it is learning lessons. That's it. I don't take L's. I don't take losses. I'm just learning lessons, right? So every failure, I ridicule it and figure out how I can make it work. That's what millionaires do. That's what successful people do. That's what great minds do, right? Look at fucking. I'm gonna just use Thomas Jefferson. He made the light bulb a thousand times. I think I'm talking about the right person. I don't know. Can't be bothered. But Thomas Jefferson made the light bulb a thousand times. And every time he kept doing it. Why did he keep doing it? Because he believed that he could and it was possible. Not like everybody else who didn't believe. He believed it was possible and he can do it. So he kept doing it until it become a possibility. He kept thinking. He believed it and he lived to achieve it. It was a thought. He kept imagining it. And then it became a stronghold, right? So the 1,001 try was when the light bulb actually worked. Why? Because he was taking notes on every thousand. Well, I couldn't say every thousand because it was only 1,000. But every failure he took lessons on why I shouldn't fuck up like that no more. And it's the same thing that I tell my students. When we're trading, we don't care if you win or lose the trade, man. It's only two things you need to figure out. Two things. If you win the trade, you need to figure out why you won and how you can win again. If you lost, you need to figure out why you lost and how you cannot lose again. Those are the only two things that matter. We don't care about how much money you lost or how much money you won. Why you lost, why you won't lose again, why you won, and why you will win again. That's how it is. Why? Because you have to build a belief system that actually makes sense. It doesn't matter what I believe. As long as you believe what you believe, that's all that matters. And even if we still have the same belief, there's something in it that's different. So it's never the same.